Who is the mouth of Sauron? Is he one of the Nazgul? Questions like this and many more are answered in this video. Don't forget to subscribe for more content like this to our channel, Dwarves of Khazad-dûm. Getting back to our story, first let's analyze where he comes from. We know that he was a black Numenorian, which were Numenorians that worshipped Sauron or Morgoth instead of Iluvatar during the Second Age. The Numenorians were a very powerful people that were at war with Sauron. Realizing he could not defeat the Numenorians with military strength, Sauron allowed himself to be taken as a hostage. He naturally had the One Ring, and so very soon dominated the minds and wills of most of the Numenorians, corrupting them and making them turn on each other. He managed to talk his way into becoming a trusted advisor of the King of Numenor, and convinced him and his followers to worship the darkness. The King of Numenor, Ar-Pharazôn, was persuaded by Sauron to attack the Undying Lands. The island of Numenor was drowned by the supreme god as divine punishment. After the fall of Numenor, the brothers Isildur and Anarion founded the Kingdom of Gondor. The Black Numenorians established havens in the southern lands of Middle-earth, particularly in Umbar, later being captured by Gondor. We believe the mouth of Sauron is a descendant of Black Numenorians, the same way people of Gondor and Arnor are descendants of regular Numenorians. At its head there rode a tall and evil shape, mounted upon a black horse, if horse it was, for it was huge and hideous, and its face was a frightful mask, more like a skull than a living head, and in the sockets of its eyes and in its nostrils there burned a flame. The rider was robed all in black, and black was his lofty helm. Yet this was no ringwraith, but a living man. The lieutenant of the Tower of Barad-dûr he was, and his name is remembered in no tale, for he himself had forgotten it. And he said, "I am the mouth of Sauron." But it is told that he was a renegade, who came of the race of those that are named the Black Numenorians, for they established their dwellings in Middle-earth during the years of Sauron's domination, and they worshipped him, being enamored of evil knowledge. And he entered the service of the Dark Tower when it first rose again, and because of his cunning he grew ever higher in the Lord's favor. And he learned great sorcery, and knew much of the mind of Sauron, and he was more cruel than any orc. As the mouth of Sauron, he was one of the few servants of Mordor who communicated directly with the Dark Lord. Though the Dark Lord forbid his subjects from using his elvish name, the mouth could use the name for some untold exception, possibly for better communication with the free peoples of the world. The mouth of Sauron was not a Nazgul, but certainly someone very similar in rank. Conflicting narratives exist on whether Sauron kept the 9 rings after the 9 turned to wraiths. There is a small chance that if he kept them, he might have given one to the rings to the mouth of Sauron. If this is true, the mouth of Sauron would at the time of the War of the Ring be converting into a wraith, something which might take decades or even centuries to complete. And we are told he was not a wraith. However, this is unlikely, as negating the ring wraiths of their rings might remove some of the skill-enhancing abilities needed to be the commanders of Sauron's armies. Some people believe he might be thousands of years old and from the Second Age. Yet Tolkien drafts also disprove these ideas. It is told that he was a living man who, being captured as a youth, became a servant of the Dark Tower, and because of his cunning grew high in the Lord's favor. The mouth of Sauron entered into the direct service of the Dark Tower when it first rose again in the year 2951 of the Third Age. This would mean he was in Sauron's service for around 70 years, probably making him around Aragorn's age or maybe younger, probably around 100 years old. It is certainly possible to forget who you are or represent after experiencing a truly shocking change of lifestyle. Since he was captured in his youth, it wouldn't be out of this world to believe that the harsh contrast from normal to evil servant had such a profound impact as to change him completely as a man, as to not remember who he used to be. It is also believed that under the service of the Dark Lord, he may have prolonged his lifespan using the dark arts. Between 3009 to 3017 of the Third Age, the mouth of Sauron may have taken part in the torture of Garlem as the Questioner. This was the time Garlem spoke the words of Shire and Baggins and led the Nazgul to search for the Shire. It is possible that the mouth of Sauron was the emissary that went to the Lonely Mountain as the messenger of Sauron. He asked that the dwarves share what they knew about the creature, Baggins, from Shire, and to help in tracking down the One Ring, which the messenger described as the least of rings, a trifle that Sauron fancies. But Gloin sends him off and sends Gimli to the Council of Elrond, where the Fellowship is formed, as he prepares for war. On March 25 of 3019, the mouth of Sauron led a small company of black harnessed soldiery from the Black Gate under a black banner depicting the Eye of Sauron to treat with the captains of the West. He dismissed Aragorn's claim as king and demanded to know who had authority to treat with him. But then Aragorn's gaze frightened him, and he cried out that he was an ambassador and not to be attacked. He showed them Samwise Gamgee's barrow blade, a grey cloak clasped with an elven brooch, and Frodo Baggins's mithril coat, telling them they were being held captive and that they would be freed if they withdrew, never to confront Sauron again and pay tribute. Gandalf then demanded that before they considered the terms, the prisoner must be brought forth to confirm that he was still alive. When the mouth of Sauron refused, Gandalf opened his cloak, raised his hand, and a white light caused the mouth to momentarily recoil. As a result, Gandalf seized the cloak, sword, and mithril coat in memory of Frodo. He proclaimed that the mouth's embassy was over and that death was near to him. They had not come to bargain with Sauron or his slaves. Although in the film Aragorn chops his head off, the mouth's fate is unknown, but it is probable he died in the assault before the Morannon. If he had survived, it is likely that he would have been one of the leaders in the retreat of Sauron's evil servants after the fall of Barad-dûr. Well, that's it for this video. Don't forget to like the channel and subscribe for more content like this one. We will see you on the next video. Isialda.